Now, if you know Bud, you know that Bud is bright and talented and speaks wisdom into lots of areas. As a matter of fact, virtually every area he touches. But what you might not know is that Bud loves to race cars. He's on a vintage race circle and he travels around and races Ferraris, right? But of course, don't we all? And Bud loves to drive fast. So this racing circuit, a number of years ago, when Toyota had just introduced its new line, the Lexus, they contacted a group of drivers, high-end drivers, and brought them to a racetrack. And then they brought in the Toyota dealers from all over the United States, and they said to these race drivers, we want you to take the dealers out and show them what this car can do. Not only did they drive a Lexus, they drove a Mercedes, they drove a BMW, just to be able to compare the handling and the speed and the acceleration of all three of these very high-end cars. So for a day, around a track, Bud drove like a wild man, which is exactly how he's wired. He drove that Lexus top end to prove to these dealers that when they went back home, they could say to a client, a customer, hey, this thing is incredible. This afternoon, Paul looks at you and me and he says, take this car home and tell the world that you can drive your salvation flat out. This is Paul's way of saying, I have, by God's grace, announced to you that you can walk in the Spirit, and it's time for you to go home and to do just that. You know, you think about these TV shows where they bring these large folks and they, you know, the Biggest Loser, and then they have these two people that are as obnoxious as possible to try to shame them into getting in shape. And over, they're essentially yelling at these people, work out, get in shape. And this afternoon, I want you to interpret the words of Paul as saying to you and I, work out. I want you to go home and work out. The beautiful thing is that we're going back to a community that is test driving Hyundais, no offense, when they could have a Lexus. They're driving all sorts of ways to try to find meaning and purpose in life. And God our Father is saying, go home and work out your salvation. Test it out, drive it, push it. Do you think there is anything that we can do to exhaust the grace that we want to extend into communities? Is there anything?